right, guys, welcome back to the Of Stone and Clay podcast. This is episode 155, I think. And today we have an awesome guest, Jackson Eyre. Thanks for being here.
Stoked to be here, man. I'm hyped, man.
Appreciate it, dude. Yeah, Jackson is a business owner, a TikToker, one of the reddest heads we've had here, as we've discussed. So this is your brand, the Better Place brand.
Yeah.
Right? Tell me a little bit about the ethos of your company and what made you start it and why you're passionate about it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it honestly it happened like pretty almost like extremely organically.
Mm-hmm.
I was a junior in high school, and I one night was just like, you know what, I just like heard this saying something about like you matter here or something. I can't remember what it was, but I felt like so enticed to put it on like a shirt.
Mm-hmm.
So like ran to my room and I pulled out this like blank white shirt and I started writing "The world's a better place with you in it."
Yeah.
And then like a winky face.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't even realize at that time what I was building. And so fast forward, my senior year of high school, I was reminded of a very close person that I lost to me. And it was my cousin who I lost my freshman year.
To suicide.
Yeah. And so I remember that when he passed away, it was the first week of his, I think, junior year. And I knew that, that's a tough week of school, the first week of school. And so I wore the shirt to school, and I knew that when I made it, it was for that reason, but I never really thought it was, for that reason. I thought it was just like a personal way of maybe letting it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I wore it to school, and there was a few people that ended up really liking it, and I didn't even think anything. I just, I'd always draw on my clothes, and someone told me I should make it a shirt. And so next thing I know, I turned it into a t-shirt, and we just like I told some friends on Snapchat, I was like, if anybody wants one, let me know and I'll drop it off. And then I ended up having someone say, why don't you try putting this on TikTok? I was like, no, like this isn't a money thing.
Yeah.
And that's not what it's about. And in fact, it would be really poor decision for money. I mean, I barely break even when I sell one. Like I didn't want to sell them for much.
Right. And you're like, then I'd have to get like a manufacturer.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. So I was like, man. And so I end up just going, okay, I'm gonna do this. Let's do it. And so I get a little bit of a bigger order, and I reach out to actually Tanner, who I'm like, hey man, like text shirt stop, don't have any idea what I'm doing, but I really want to do this. And he's like, okay, well, this is the price, this is the breakdown. And I'm 17 years old. I don't have that money to purchase like 30 t-shirts, like it adds up. And so I asked my dad, I'm like, hey, if I could borrow some money, I promise to get it back. And he was very supportive. He knew it wasn't for the money. And so I ended up doing it, and then went and posted it on TikTok. I went to go play basketball with my friends, and I posted it on and put the t-shirt on a website that probably, if anybody sees the original version, I'd probably get copyrighted for like everything on there. It was like random internet images and just like take a picture, put it on there. And then I go play basketball, and I just hear my phone start buzzing like crazy. And I was really confused. And it was from, it was from Shopify. And I was like really confused. And then I saw a lot of people buying the hoodies and shirts. And then the first thing I did was I turned off my ringer, powered off my phone, and just went right back to basketball.
Yeah.
And I was like, first, I was way too nervous to be handling, is this actually happening? Are people actually, and also there was this really guilty feeling for hearing Shopify has this noise where it's like ka-ching.
Right. Just sounds like money's coming in.
I didn't like that. Yeah. I was like, it really threw me off. And so I powered that off, and I go play basketball. I don't touch my phone for the rest of the night. I'm just like, I will solve this in the morning. And that's a big thing I live off of. I will sleep and it'll be better. And so I end up going to bed that night, wake up, and there was I think over 400 orders overnight. And that was the first video I'd ever posted. And so then it started to turn into this real message, this real brand. And since then, we've just, tried to take it to different ways and different routes. Yeah. It's kind of how it's on the, I guess, physically on me right now.
Yeah. That's cool, man. Were you already at that point, had a nice following on TikTok? You were making videos and stuff already?
Yeah, I'd been making videos for a minute.
Yeah.
I think maybe around 200,000 followers at the time. my mom had just found out I had TikTok.
Yeah.
I didn't tell her. I think she might have been tipped off by someone else, like one of her friends.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't want them to know. I thought my videos were kind of corny and
Right,
silly.
right.
It's like didn't tell my siblings or my
Yeah.
parents. And then they check in here. And then I remember the day I hit 250,000 followers. My dad was like, "Do you have a TikTok?" And I was like, "Yeah, like it's kind of going, it's going." And so
Right.
and yeah, we did it right around there, just on
Mhm.
the what I felt like was, it's finally hitting this point where like people would know me in public. I mean, I had long red hair and wide eyebrows. It's hard to miss.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, but yeah, right about there. I think about the 250K mark
Mhm.
was where I was at with
Cool.
on the following. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So what for you, what is maybe a deeper message? This is a really great, like, simple reminder of your value. What do you say to somebody, maybe a close friend that is really in the trenches and is having trouble sort of just sticking around on earth?
Mm, That's so hard. It's um I heard a quote once. And it said, um, "Stick around until the day you're glad you did."
Mhm.
And that to me is like always just meant so much, because it's hard for me to sometimes tell someone like why they matter, because that's why I think they matter. It's hard to tell them that God loves you because that's how God loves you, but
Mhm.
for them to know it takes time.
Yeah.
And so uh, I I tell my friends, I've had buddies call before, say like, dude, I'm at like rock bottom, like I need this. And the best thing I can tell them is like, rather than trying to persuade them that I know
Mhm.
or that God knows, I just want them to know. And so I really try to put them in their own shoes and just say, hey, look, man, like this is where you're at right now. Um, there's going to be this good day that comes. You're going to be so glad. And probably the greatest reminder that I think someone who's struggling can hear is that if you can hear my voice right now, you're living.
Mhm.
And I think when we like recognize we're living, it almost like reminds us that we're alive, which is, seems maybe deeper than it is. But I think when someone's on that last string, that last couple moments, they don't need to actually hear it from someone else right then.
Mhm.
And by all means, do say why you think, say why God thinks, say why whatever they believe in thinks, whatever it is. But I think one of the most generous things we can do as a friend to someone who's suffering is help them see why they're worth it
Right.
from their own perspective.
Mhm.
But it does take time,
Yeah.
and I don't ever I don't ever necessarily say regret that I didn't say anything. But I um, when I lost my cousin, I think they were over at our house. If it was just a few nights before, or
Yeah, yeah.
maybe a week before, and he was sitting on the couch. I was like sitting over here, and um, I'll never say I wish I could have said something or done something different, because I know that as difficult it is to understand, things happen, and we can't change the past. But I do wonder
Sure.
what would have happened had I just said, "I like your shoes."
Right, right, right.
Something so
Some
simple,
small.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard, I've lost maybe, we all know people, but I've lost maybe 4 or 5 people that I actually consider friends, over the years. And I think you can't help but ask yourself, like, man, is there something I could have done? Like, maybe I could have been a better homie. Maybe I could have reached out at the right time. But I also know I was home when one of my roommates tried to take his life, and luckily he's still with us. But I've seen what it looks like when people are on that last ledge, and they're truly in a state of desperation, and it's almost like they're possessed. It's a weird thing. It's almost like they're not in their own bodies. Their brain is kind of broken down and is taking control. And so I say that because I think sometimes people that lose people to suicide, carry this guilt with them that I don't think they need to. I think, you can always be a better friend. You can always be a better son. You can always be a better neighbor. And that's something you should always be focusing on. But, people get to a really, really bad spot where there's nothing you can do, and the last thing they would want is for you to feel guilty about that for the rest of your life, and so, but I also like the thought that, maybe there's people friends that I've saved that I don't even know,
Yeah.
That have been in dark spots and just needed a little bit of light to change and to refocus and to pivot. And I think most people, you'll probably never hear about it, and every once in a while, maybe a friend will tell you that you really helped them in a dark period. But I just want to assume that I don't want to assume everyone's suicidal, but I want to assume that everyone needs a little bit more light.
Yeah.
Everyone needs a little bit more friendship, a little bit more love, a little bit more attention. And then if that's how you're acting, you don't need to feel bad if something happens,
Totally. Oh, totally. I completely agree with that. And I think we all struggle. And if it hasn't very personally been brought to your mind, I think there's always been the question that comes in the air at one point in your life or the other of, what is my worth?
Mm-hmm.
Do I belong here? And I think about like how, even as a kid, like I'd get frustrated. I remember, I shared this with a friend once and they said it was kind of similar. And I don't know, sometimes I thought I was crazy for it. When I was like a little kid, I remember if I argued with a sibling or a parent or something, like, me just being a little upset kid, I was like go in my room and I'd like start to like, I'd want to scream, but I wouldn't want anybody to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
So you like tuck your face in your pillow or you start to grab your neck and you're like, no, of course I wouldn't want to hurt myself. But you go through this silent pain. And that was something interesting I thought you said was that uh, they almost, these, anyone who's struggling almost doesn't want other people to know, not because they're just, quote unquote selfish to keep it to themselves, but because they don't want other people to feel the pain that they're in right now.
Right.
They're in such a deep pain. Like, why would they want to put any ounce of that kind of pain on someone else?
Well, and they also often already feel like their presence is a burden, and that's part of the reason why they want to check out, why they want to be done. And so, yeah, but it's, I just think it's helpful for people to know that when someone's in that spot truly, they're not in a good state of mind. They're not themselves. They're not normal, I read this quote. It was in a novel actually, but this author, the crazy sad part is the author ended up killing himself like 10 years later, but he's writing about that feeling of wanting to take your life. And he said, the thing is, people don't jump out of a burning building because they want to jump out of a building. They jump out of a building because they don't want to be burned by the flames. And it seems like their only shot. They know they're going to die, but they're like, I can't handle these flames right now. And he said, that's what it's like when people choose to kill themselves. It's not that they want to die. It's that they can't handle living anymore. It's pain that they can't handle anymore. And I thought, wow, that's such a good way of putting it. Like, because I think sometimes we think, man, why do they want to die? Why can't they just stick it out? And it's like, I don't think that's what it is. I think they literally just feel like they're being consumed by the flames, What has been your relationship with mental health?
Like on a personal level?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually, yeah, I think for the first time in my life, I've started to, like in the last few years of my life, as I've gotten older, started to see it as something I should check in on, even on myself.
Yeah.
Because I think, when I lost my cousin, everything started as like almost actually a paranoia thing. I would go to school scared who's going through it,
Yeah.
got to say hi, got to check in. Um, and then the more people I lost, teammates, other cousins, family, friends, whoever it was, I started realizing, okay, like this is a real thing. But I almost thought that I wasn't necessarily immune, but you figure that, well, if you're the spokesman, right? If
Mhm.
you're the person saying the world's a better place with you in it, therefore the world's a better place must mean it's me as well. But the amount of times I've had to look at this and be reminded of it as well as more than someone might expect. And I think um, there's been two times in my life where my mental health is something that I like knew all the way to the point that I needed to reach out to a friend. And
Mhm.
I've actually never. This is the first time saying this story out loud, other than to very, very, very select like two or three people. Um, so yeah, when I was in about my sophomore year of high school, and I was at a time when I didn't really know myself too well either.
Mhm.
And I remember one night I was just going through a ton of stuff, so many different things going on, so many things I was worried about, stresses, school, homework, everything it felt like. Um,
Females.
Females,
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
head to toe, man. I was like, is there another angle I can get punched? It was like, just like, yeah, like an arm swinging at every part of you. And I was just so, so stressed. And I remember sitting there, and I never had or contemplated a thought really of self harm.
Mhm.
And the weirdest thought came to my mind, and I had this uh, kind of almost like an impulsive thought, and it was not to do anything specifically, but there's a gun case at my house in the
Mhm.
basement, and I had like this instant impulse to just go look at them.
Mm.
Just so weird. I never ever had experienced that, and I was so confused. And for some reason, though, the thought of it calmed my mind,
Mm.
and I started being like more at ease in the pain that I was going, which was so strange. And so I didn't know what it was. And I, in my head, I'm like, oh, Jackson, don't go over there. You don't know what could happen. Like, it was just a weird feeling. And so I start walk out of my room. I open my door, I'm cutting the corner around, and I just hear my sister. Um, and she just called me and just brought me in, and she just said, "Hey, Jackie." She can't see me. I'm turning a corner. I barely think she could hear me. And I just like pause. I'm just like stuck. I'm still. Like, all of a sudden, the pain, the question, the wonder, the curiosity to see that gun or anything just vanished. And I like look over, and I'm almost scared to walk into her room. And I walk in, and she just goes, "How was your day?" And I was like, "It was okay. Like, what's up?" And she's like, "Oh, I just want to check in." And then, it's me and my sister. We're the two youngest, so we don't share moments like that normally. And so it was like 2 seconds later, I was like, "Sounds good. Thanks, Bryn. See
Yeah.
ya."
Yeah.
And, I walk out, and I remember I never looked back though to that day. And like, I think 5 years later, or 4 years later, I end up right before I left on my 2-year church service mission. I was sitting next to the fire, and I'd never told anyone this story. And my older sister Bryn, she says, "What are you gonna miss most?" Um, and I'm telling her and this, that, and then I'm sitting there, and I just had this strong feeling that now was the right time. I could tell her. I said, "Bryn, I've had a story I've never told anyone." And I just said, "Before I tell you any of this, I don't express to you enough. You're my sister, and on paper, I am best friends more seemingly with my oldest sister, which is true. There was probably the tightest siblings, but I just told my other sister, I was like, you have no idea how much you mean to me." And she was like, "Oh, like, I'm gonna miss you." And then I told her that, and she was just like in tears. And so that was my first really like firsthand experience. But I think uh, uh, a recent one that it was so, I just think, interesting that it could come back
Mhm.
is since that time until now, I was able to see, the worth that people care about me.
Yeah.
And I was able to feel the love from someone else. And I think I lived a lot of my life off of someone checking in on me. And then when I was living in New York, I remember there was one night where, I'd been alone now for about 3 months. And by all means, I loved the opportunity, everything I was doing, having fun, whatever it was. But I remember at the end of the night, I'd always go to bed so sad. And I remember one night, instead of going to bed, I just couldn't sleep. It was about 2 a.m. and I walk outside and I'm on my balcony. And similar kind of situation, I had zero thought of self-harm, but I did ask myself a question. I said, what is the difference of me standing on this balcony and me stepping off right now? What is there any difference? Is there any? Do I actually do I provide value? What do I do? What is my worth?
Mm-hmm.
And when I sat there and thought about it, my entire heart just shifted, a complete new, just, we talked earlier about how you have to die to, become alive. That in my heart was when, I, through everything I've been through, whatever it was, this for me was when, kind of like we were talking about earlier, this was when Jackson personally helped Jackson inside.
Yeah.
And it was no longer other people. It was no longer the fruits of me sharing this with other people keeping me going. It was the first time in my life where I said, no, I'm choosing to live because I know I'm standing up here and I'm not walking off this balcony. And I think just, in turn, sometimes in life, we, those lowest moments, by all means, we want to stay away. But if you're there, I mean, ask yourself and convince yourself why you do matter. And if you can convince yourself why you're important or why you have a worth here, which I mean, yes, I promise you can learn. But if you can convince yourself why you have even an ounce of worth, if you can even just put an ounce of that into yourself, you become your own just best friend. And you just want to lift yourself up and you'll do everything to take care of him or her or whoever. And I think that right there for me in my mental health journey was, probably the most shifting moment, because I went from one moment of I lived off of someone else's love. And when I got to my lowest point since, I decided to live for me.
Yeah.
And I was able to just, I feel like, accept it.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're feeling that nihilism, when you're just unsure of what value do I bring? What purpose do I have? What difference is it between me being alive and me being dead, besides maybe, people will be sad, people will mourn it, whatever. But when you're not in a great headspace, you're kind of like, but in the grand scheme of things, what difference does it make? What true value do I bring? What was the answer that you kept coming back to for yourself? Because sometimes that's a hard question when you, especially if you're just hate your life, you don't enjoy what's happening, you don't feel any real purpose or fulfillment. What value do you add? What is the answer to that question?
Yeah. I think for me, what I was able to come to terms with is that I understood that this, that I think sometimes, doing stuff on social media or being a person who's friends with, other maybe popular people or people known or, good family, good interests, I sometimes lose touch with how much of an advantage you might be given without having to do much for.
Sure.
And I realized that my greatest superpower is that I'm able to take what that is and almost just like put it in someone's drink for them to feel it too. And I just realized that there was an ability to inject energy into other people.
Yeah.
And I think once I understood that, and there's few other people in my life that I think it's a really special gift and ability they have. And when my back was against the wall, I thought about so many different things. And it was so interesting because sometimes when my back was against the wall, I'd think like, oh, well, like, well, think of God, think of Jesus Christ. But as soon as I would think about God, he would tell me about me,
Mm-hmm.
and which was such an interesting thing. And I felt then that it was very, very, very important. I go and I use those talents he's given me,
Yeah.
use that, whatever it is, the gift of, just sharing light and being that beacon of hope.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, how could I give up such a great opportunity to love one another at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day? And, um, it didn't maybe come out so perfectly crystal clear when I heard it, but I knew that in the desperation and the sadness and the pain that I felt I was going through, that my worth it really isn't contingent off of anything else other than, will I wake up and try again? And if I'm willing to do that, then I'm on the right track. And I don't always know where I'm heading. I don't always know if it's going to pan out,
Mm-hmm.
but I know that until the day that I'm, on my sitting there on my deathbed, until the day comes that I'm sitting on my deathbed and I have lived a long life, that is the day I'll allow myself to complain about the things I've been through.
Right.
That is the day. But I think that if I can make it to that day, I won't have much to complain about,
Right.
because I'll be happy I made it there.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like a little bit of the what I decided, why I wanted to keep going. And sometimes I extend it past the deathbed. I say, well, maybe when I die, and if I go to heaven and I talk to God, if he doesn't have an answer for me on why I went through it, then I can be like, okay, yeah, I should have been upset. But
Right.
meanwhile, I'm like, just got a lot of trust that it is for something I don't know right now.
Yeah. I like that. For me, I think about my own value in society and in the world and in the circles I'm in, and sometimes it is hard to feel truly useful or truly valued or cared for. And a lot of times when you zoom out, you can be like, well, yeah, I know I have these friends and these people that rely on me or whatever. But when you're just alone at night and you got the nighttime sads, like,
Yeah, they're a real thing.
you don't think very clearly, right? The emotion is very real within you. And so what I like to remind myself is, if nothing else, who knows how much value I really bring? It's hard to quantify, right? But if nothing else, I know, like you said, I can transfer a little bit of light to somebody else,
Yeah.
right? And the truth is, I don't need that much light to be able to do that. I can have just a little bit, and I can share a little bit.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm like, if that's always kind of my mindset and my goal and my purpose, I'll always have value and I'll have a good life, And of course, along the way, I'll accomplish things and I'll help people in need, and I'll be of use, I'll be of value. But ultimately, anytime I come back to like, dude, what's the point? Does anyone care? The problem is, I'm just saying me, I, right? And what I should be saying is, well, who can I help? Who is somebody that can benefit from my wisdom or for what I've gone through, and that's part of the reason why I freaking love what I've been doing with the podcast. Is anything I talk about, and this, as your audience grows, anything you talk about, someone can relate to. And the bigger your audience, the more people that will relate to it. And so it's an ever growing reminder for myself that, man, I got some light to share. And sometimes it feels like this huge luminescent thing, and sometimes it feels like this tiny little like light you can barely see under the door. But I'm like, I know I got a little bit, so I can share it, And yeah, I don't know for myself. I don't know any other way to live, like any other way to be happy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the byproduct, like the feeling you get from helping someone else feel worth it, incredible.
Yeah.
Like I play a game with myself sometimes in school. It's perfect place to do it. See how many people I can compliment and the most interesting thing I can find. Because I usually think like their most interesting thing is maybe their unique thing. So I'll be like walking around and, I maybe see someone with some earrings I don't normally see.
Yeah.
I remember like I had to look up one time. I was like, what is the nose ring called? And it was a septum. And then I think I saw a girl with like one on the side and I was like, I like your septum. And she was like, what? And I was like, your septum. And she was like, no, it's just the this. And I was like, oh, the nose ring. And like, it took trial and error to get good at figuring out how to compliment. But it's the funnest thing to share your light and to, not hide it. And to, because when you share a little bit, when you hit that bottom, you have like maybe like 2 ounces, 3 ounces of light to share left. Yeah, it's scary, but if you share all 3 of them, you'll get like 6 back.
Yeah.
And, you don't do it because of that, but what a cool reward. And I think like, Robin Williams had a really cool quote that kind of is aligned with it. He said, I don't know how much value I provide to this world, but I do know without me in it, he says, I don't know how much value I provide to the world, but I do know that because of me, I've made a couple other people happier. And with that knowledge, I'm rich.
Yeah.
He said something along those lines. And, it's crazy to think, someone who was, he took his life at a longer state of his end of his, living life. And to know, I don't know how long he struggled. I don't know how long he was, in silence battling what he was, but how cool that, to share light, you keep going.
Yeah.
Like it's such a sacrifice, but such a reward too.
Yeah. Dude, think about it this way. What if, we get to the pearly gates. Hopefully I see you there, somewhere nearby.
Yeah.
What if God kind of takes us aside and he's like, let me show you how much light you provided during your life.
Oh, I just got the chills.
Right? Let me show you right here, like you didn't realize it, but you just being who you are, you infused some light into your friend who really needed it. And let me show you right here. Fast forward 10 years. Here's when you were just walking down the street and you were just being you and you were happy and you just listened to a cool song and somebody drove by and saw that and it gave them a tiny bit of light, because there's so many things we'll never know about.
Yeah.
But I just love that thought of, man,
it's
maybe
cool to think about.
Maybe someday it'll all be shown to us how much light we've given. And so if nothing else, if I have no other ambitions or goals in my life, if I can just keep being like, all right, well, let me give a little bit more light. Let me spread a little bit more joy, a little bit more energy, call it whatever you want. Like you're going to have a good life,
That's awesome.
Yeah. I remember a few years ago, I was going through a hard time and I was just having trouble. I was having trouble staying happy, right? Like I'm a generally pretty happy guy, but I felt like any happiness I felt was gone in 30 minutes. And, a few hours later, I'd get some back and then it was gone again. And I felt like I was just so affected by any negative emotion, and so I was like, I knew I was in a bit of a funk and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back to the basics. I'm going to start writing down throughout the day. I'm going to write down every single thing that was good in any way. If I see something good, if I hear something good, if I experience something good, and then I'm going to go back and the next day I'm going to look at it and I'm going to highlight my favorites, right? And I started doing this every single day. And the really cool thing is I realized the things I was highlighting 9 out of 10 times was an interaction with somebody. It was a conversation with a friend. It was a moment I had with a buddy. It wasn't the big, like the concert, the fancy dinner, the whatever, the event. It was like on the way to the thing, me and my homie were talking about this.
Yeah.
After the thing, we went to Denny's and we're talking about this. It was these really human moments. And I realized, okay, if happiness is this fleeting thing that's kind of hard to get my hands on sometimes, here's the recipe. Here's how to re-grab it at any time. And so I really kind of doubled down and I'm like, well, if these are the things that make me happy every day and that imbue my life with goodness, why don't I just double, triple, quadruple down
That's really cool.
and focus on that, you know?
Is that the starter kit you would give to someone who wants to have more happiness in their life?
Yeah, a lot of times with I do a lot of like life coaching and relationship coaching, and a lot of times people, they have so much wrong in their life, so much stress, so much pain, so much anguish, so much going on that they have trouble seeing any good. And so I'm like, let's simplify this a little bit. And maybe you can't come up with 20 things, right? But maybe you can come up with 4, right? And maybe they're really, to you, they feel silly. You're like, the only thing that good happened in my day was like lunch was pretty good. Chicken was nice and tender. This new album dropped. I was excited about, and I got to bed at a decent hour, whatever. It's like, okay, just start there.
Yeah.
You know? And then I tell people, try and get really granular. Try to be like, okay, what did I see anything beautiful today? Were the clouds beautiful? Was the sun warm on my face? Like, and it becomes a practice of gratitude as well, but it's also trying to be hyper aware of good.
Yeah.
You know, and you start to see it in other people. You start to see it in yourself. But I always tell people, don't be embarrassed if your list looks really silly and really trivial. And it's nothing like, had this amazing breakthrough with my mom, and I got a new girlfriend today, and I won $1,000. Like, it doesn't need to be these huge things. It can be, I walked outside and the rain hit me, and it reminded me I'm alive. It reminded me of something beautiful. I don't even know what it is. I can't even express it. You know, write it down. And so I kind of got obsessed with this practice. And so now I just do it every day.
Well, that's sweet.
And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where I'm looking for good all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I like what you said. You're always like trying to compliment people in a unique way. A lot of times I'll think, oh, well, if I compliment somebody, we have a good, fun little interaction, I get to write it down when I get home.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it becomes not only a little memory, and I write it down so I remember it a little bit better, but it becomes a practice. It becomes something that I'm habitually doing. And so, that's, to me, people struggling with happiness, I try to essentially take it back to gratitude. It's like, what are some things that you see in your life that are good? And let's try to multiply from there. But if you're multiplying, it doesn't matter where you're starting.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
That's super true.
You can start with 2 or 3 things a day.
Oh, that's cool.
Exponential growth can start anywhere. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love the humility and honest approach too to it. Like, you take, I feel like sometimes in my life when I'm trying to notice the good, even in like high school, they would, or junior high, they would make you write down 3 things you're grateful for. And I felt like I was always just BSing myself. I was like, saying these bizarre things because like I was afraid, are they going to ask me to say it out loud? Are they going to, whatever it is. And, but when I have looked back in my life and, I think about some of my favorite memories, it's always like the way more simple. And even there was a kid in my college class 2 days ago, and the prompt was, it was a get to know you game. And the teacher said, if you could travel back in time to any time or travel anywhere in time, where would you go? Everyone was just dropping the most poetic, hard answers. And like, I was about to go to chat and be like, yo, please, like, give me something good, you know? And I'm like, I think, and everyone just, bar after bar, it was like getting incredibly good. And it was actually really funny to me, but there was a girl in the class and she had a really cool answer. Hers was that, she would go in time to herself while she's a lot older and would ask, what would you have done different when you were younger? And it was a cool answer. And then the next question, which was my favorite answer, or the next answer, it was this kid, and they were like, what's your name? He says his name, and then they're like, and where would you go? And he was like, honestly, I had a really good Christmas break, so about a week ago in Louisiana. And I was like, dude, that's the most honest answer I've heard.
Yeah.
And I think it's something about, and I paid attention to this kid, and I was only sitting behind him, and I like kind of talked to him for a second after class, just so that like, hey, what up? And you could tell how honest he was.
Yeah.
and I could tell he was genuinely happy.
Mhm.
Now, sure, it's my read, but you could feel his happiness. There was an aura that he was at peace.
Mhm.
And I think when you live your life in that, just it takes humility and it takes honesty. But if you can go and be like, yeah, you know what? I have clothing on my skin right now.
Mhm.
There is a light above my head. I mean, even no, I haven't ever been homeless, but even if I was a homeless person or if everything went to the wall and I ended up on the streets, I mean, I'm sure I could be grateful that the grass that I'm sleeping on is better than the grass I could else be, or the
Mhm.
dirt, you know, and
Yeah.
it, you know, it breaks down to so many little ones. But I think when we notice all the things we're grateful for, um, the the world kind of slows down a little bit,
Yeah.
and you're left with like all these candid little moments, just like you were saying. You know, you go home at the end of your night and you're like, that was awesome,
Yeah.
that was awesome, this was awesome.
Yeah.
So, completely agree.
Yeah. And I tell people, when you're doing this practice, when you're doing gratitude, if you don't feel it in the moment, don't write it down, because sometimes it feels overwhelming, or you feel like ungrateful because you're like, dude, I don't feel especially grateful for my family right now. Like, they're bugging me.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
I'm like, don't write it down.
yeah,
It doesn't need to be like what you think it should be. Just write down what you're feeling. And there are days when you're depressed and you don't feel grateful for anything.
Mm.
That's when you go searching and you say, okay, what is something small that I'm actually grateful for? I'm actually grateful that I'm thinking about this and I'm exploring this, or I'm grateful that my buddy texted me and wants to go lift, or I'm grateful that, they haven't canceled my show on Netflix, for goodness sake.
yeah,
And so, yeah, I'm like, yeah, if you're not grateful for your health, don't write it down,
yeah.
and maybe you'll be grateful another day. But yeah, if to me, a lot of times gratitude practice doesn't work because people are left feeling like, oh, I know I should be grateful for this. I know I should be grateful for that, but I just don't.
Mm.
I don't feel it.
That's so interesting. Wow.
Do you agree with that take, or do you think you should, I don't know, fake it till you make it?
No, I agree. I mean, I I'll I'll tell people that like um if you gotta like if you're really at that low part and you gotta maybe fake that smile, do it in a pursuit that you'll wake up the real one.
Mm-hmm.
Do it with intention. Um,
Yeah, do it for yourself.
but do it for yourself. Yeah, do it
Yeah,
because if
I
you
like that. Fake it till you make it for you.
for you, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you notice you're just doing it for someone else or this, it's completely what you said. It's like you shouldn't journal what it is for someone else or this or that. And when I go back to my journal when I was like really young,
Mm-hmm.
it's always funny to me. It'll be like one page is like my siblings hate me. They don't want me around. They don't want that. And then the next line's like got Legos for my birthday. Mom was there, dad was there, siblings turned up, chocolate cake, Brett was there. It's like it's just there's such a dichotomy on like when you're a kid and but you're so honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the times though in my life when I've had to maybe fake it, if I did it for someone else, I end up feeling even worse after.
Yeah.
And when I do it for myself, oh, it's such an investment, but it's so worth it. Like when you're maybe having a crappy Friday night, you've got two options. You can show up to wherever you're going. You can smile the whole time and hope, even though if you're doing it only because, there's some people there and you feel like you have to do it. And it's just this pressurized feeling. Everyone's leaving and then you feel even more empty. But on those nights, if you just like pause, you're like, you know what? I'm craving donuts right now. And I want to go watch that TV show that I was watching, or maybe it's a different. Maybe it's I'm craving protein drinks in the gym. Whatever it is, sometimes when you make that decision for yourself, you might not have a smile on your face right then, but I promise at the end of the night when you hit the bed and it's just you again, and it's really just you, like you're gonna be so grateful you did something for yourself.
Yeah.
And in turn, when you really look out for yourself, when you take care of your basic needs, you take care of so many more people.
Yeah.
Because what is the thing in the jungle? It's like animals live as long as they have teeth or something like that. It's like if you're not taking care of your basic needs, then it's hard to survive. But if you look out for them, if you care about them, if you put yourself first so you can go help other people, then there's like just, oh, life is yours.
Yeah.
You have such an opportunity everywhere.
Yeah, it's like in the airplane when they tell you like you need to put your oxygen on first.
Mm,
Then
yes.
you can actually help other people. You're not any help to anybody if you're passed out,
Oh, that's so true.
you
I
know?
didn't even, yeah.
Yeah, it's like that's why it's so important to take care. When you're taking care of yourself, you're taking care of your whole community. You're taking
Mm,
care of your friend group, you're taking care of your family, you're taking care of your employees, your employer. You're taking care of everyone in your radius when you're taking care of yourself.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to ask you a question if that's okay. Like thinking
Ask
of,
ask me every question.
well, yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
I was just thinking about, I was like, you said like you've interviewed a lot of people on like such a personal level. And I'm sure outside of, you know, of stone and clay, very personable person, you have these combos. What do you feel like people need to hear in order for them to know like they like it's worth the journey we're talking about? It's what do people yeah, what do people need to hear in order for them to like be excited to get going on this journey of self-care,
Hmm.
taking care of themselves, getting after it with the things that matter that are going to help that community, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. That's hard because I think everyone is different, you know, and I think to me the main thing I want to do like as a host and as somebody that maybe has a little bit of a platform is I want people to see what's real and how people are and
Mhm.
what people go through. And I want people to be able to see it and be like, yo, like that's what I'm going through. Okay, I'm a little bit less alone. Instead of me just saying, okay, this is how you be happy, and I'm the expert,
It's
I'm the
cool.
guru, so listen to me and sign up for my course.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but if I do a course, sign up for it. But you know, I think more than anything, people want to feel a little bit less alone,
Mm,
and so I think like I can share, like we talked about just barely. To me, that gratitude thing is a practical way to maybe infuse some happiness into your life, right?
mm.
But more than anything, I want people to see that there are moments where I'm desperate for happiness. And so I'm willing to do anything. I'm searching, I'm
Yeah.
getting creative, I'm trying things. And I want people to hear that and be like, okay, maybe I need to get a little more creative. Maybe I need to
Mm.
admit that I'm not happy, you know? And so it's a really good question, but I don't think there's one thing that people need to hear to get going.
Love that.
You know, I think they just, so much of it is timing. I mean, think about your own life when you've been like radically inspired.
Mm.
It almost probably feels random,
Yeah.
right? It's just the right person, the right time, the right voice. Like, why do some songs hit you just right in the guts sometimes?
Yeah.
When maybe you're not even going through something specific, but you're just like, yo,
Yeah.
I can't breathe anymore. Like, why does that happen?
Yeah. I honestly, I mean, I love that it does happen
Yeah.
because, like, I, I love the conversations I'll have with some of my friends where all of us will have a different interest or take. One will be one part of maybe one church or a religion. One will be maybe atheist. One will be, they'll tell you that the river is their God, whatever it is. But all of us can collectively agree that like there's serendipitous moments in life and there's
Hmm.
these things that feel euphoric and like how did that answer come. And I always just think it's like I think sometimes in life when when people will maybe discuss like something good that happened, they'll try to say like, well, it's because of this, well maybe someone does this. I'm like, dude, I'm just stoked that it happened.
Right. Right.
Like, is it more unbelievable that something crazy happened, or is it even more unbelievable that we have a brain that can think of that?
Right.
Like, there's so much cool going on around us, and I feel like I don't know. I guess like it's just I don't know. I mean, um, yeah, these like these moments that we get, I I don't think they're accidents, and I think like I'm just I feel like happy that they do even just happen in general,
Hmm.
and maybe that's just me because I've seen it, but I think for everyone, um, like that practice you were saying of just like gratitude and stuff, like, yeah, you'll condition yourself to see them. And it's just yeah, it's bizarre how hard they can hear. When I was in New York,
Mhm.
when I was living there, uh, pretty lonely nights. I mean, it was cool, but like some pretty lonely, like you don't realize how quiet like a room is until like it's like you're really the only one like internally and externally.
Right.
And so like it was like,
And
man,
it's
like,
night after night.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
yeah, same thing. And so I remember sitting there and I had a friend reach out and she was doing service as well for a church or for the same church. And um, she said a line that stuck with me. It was really cool. And, I'm Christian, I believe in Christ. And the line was, and the thing is, there's nothing going on in my day or that anything she knows about my life right now that would persuade her to say this. And not even a preface like, hey, I had a feeling to say this out loud.
Right.
She's just laughing, talking about her day on a voice note. And it was something like, she's like, she said, I'm rich because the tomb stayed empty.
Mm.
And I was like, whoa, like, ooh, just like hit my gut.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, go to my notes app, I write it down, and I'm just like, I'm like, it almost like confused how like something like that could be said. You think of like the savior of the world, who, Christ in my eyes is the savior of the world. And to hear that the tomb stayed empty, and here's me who I feel empty, but the difference is between my emptiness and Christ's tomb is that he did that, so I don't have to. And
Mhm.
I don't know, it's just one of those things where it's in life, it's like, I don't understand always how they come at the right times when they do these little moments, but by golly, like maybe don't question so much as to why or where they came from, but smile and
Yeah.
giggle that that's crazy and I'm so glad it happened. Because I can't help but think like there's something greater than me that's
Yeah.
persuading it.
Yeah, that's great. And that's the magic of art, is it just pricks you at times and you don't know why and you don't understand and like like your example, it's such a cute little phrase,
Yeah.
right? That it's almost you might like see that on someone's post and be like cheesy,
Yeah.
right? But whatever, it hits you at the right moment
Hmm.
and it just hits you. And sometimes you see something cheesy in a movie, but because you're in your feels, it really
Yeah.
hits you, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But yeah, it's so cool. Um, what for you? I want to talk about the utility, the usefulness of friendship. How much do you value friendship, just generally?
Mm. Oh, uh, it is everything to me. I can't be alone. And it's because I love having friends. And it's taken me a long time to understand why I do.
Hmm.
But I heard um, someone else actually said it, and I chose to live my life similarly. But when I was on my mission. It was for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm in a little town in the middle of Ireland, and um, there's kind of some rules on the mission. You're not supposed to call other friends or people, but there was this night where I was just really struggling to be friends with someone.
Yeah.
And I called someone that I just felt like he was always such a good friend
Hmm.
to everyone who he was around. So I call him up and he answers the phone and he's like, it's like, a little bit past curfew, literally middle of nowhere in Ireland. And this dude's just, he answers the phone, happy, laughing. He's in Cambodia and he
Hmm.
just, Hancho! And he just answered the phone. And already I start feeling it. I'm like, I ask him, I tell him, I'm like, hey, I'm about to go live with someone that I don't think I like can maybe like, I feel like we maybe get along so well. Like, I want to be friends. Like, I just feel like there's going to be this disconnect, whatever. And there's like one of those situations in life where I was like, I care a lot about friends. So I'm putting in pre-effort to,
Hmm.
I know I'm going to have to be friends with the person that I'm about to go live with.
Yeah.
And on the phone, he's like, he's like, he goes, Jesus Christ was a best friend. And then if they lost like that chance, he'd still be their friend. But he's like, but he started with best friend.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. And so I told him thank you, and I was like, "Yo, love you, bro. Like, love you, Jerem. Like, see you around." Like, and I knew that this was the right thing. His whole family, his other brother, just so close and good examples. And I thought about that though a lot about, and for myself, yeah, I look up to Christ, but I think for anyone, this idea of choosing to be someone's best friend from the get go rather than just a friend. And
Yeah.
I took that into that next time of my life that I was in over there. And this person that I was assigned to live with and work with, uh, instead of day one being like, oh, is this person got to like earn my respect and like my trust and all these different things. I think there are a couple of those walls you need to keep a specific way, like maybe a gate, maybe not so much a wall, but I just decided to be this dude's friend, his best friend off the day one. And we got along so well. And we were like polar opposites.
Yeah.
I was a disobedient kind of, I mean, I wasn't disobedient, but I wasn't the greatest at like, making sure I'd sometimes sleep in when I wasn't supposed to, whatever. And all I had heard of this person I was going to go live with was that he was
uptight.
Yeah, uptight, the king. And he's one of my best friends now, and I had replaced half of his last name with like a word for like obedient, and I had like just kind of just thought of this, and then we become best friends. I remember on like the third night sitting there, we're just sitting there, and he's like, you know what, Elder Eric, this is what I went by then. He's like, I love you, man, and he's got this thick South African accent, and I'm just sitting there, and I'd been just having the most fun being best friends with him, and all of a sudden my heart kind of remembered how I felt about him previously, and I just like, I don't know, I just felt so much love for him as well, and love for friendship. And I told him right then too, I said, hey, before I say anything else, I'm going to tell you, I started that nickname of you in our mission, it was a silly thing, but I changed his name to something else, and he was like, that South African accent, he's like, that was you. I can't do it as but he's like, like, and like, but we became such good friends. But I think that what I decided in my life was, I'd lived my whole life wanting to be friends with everyone all I wanted, but it was always like a tricky thing being like, oh, who deserves it or this or that. But it's like, no, to be honest, man, like, I don't think anybody has to earn someone's friendship.
Right.
I think we forget, like, dude, we can be best friends right off the rip.
Yeah.
Like, why would I even wait? If we're going to be best friends one day, we're like, why not start now? And like, you put the turkey in the oven, it needs to take time, whatever. But I think that like we were put on earth for whatever reason to connect, to be a friend, and to somehow look out for each other. And that's not always going to mean we're hanging out or playing video games.
Sure.
By no means. But to some degree, like the fact that you and I have spoken, I would expect that the next time I see you at a grocery store, I'm going to be like, yo, Taylor, what up?
Yeah.
And, other people, maybe they're not as, like outgoing, like crazy like that. But I just, I don't want to ever live my life in fear. And I think anybody out there who, wonders like, oh man, I wish I had more friends or this, I'm like, dude, then go get them.
Go be a friend.
Go be a friend. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. When you were saying that, I was thinking, because maybe some people will struggle with that. Like, I got like two best friends. Like, I can't just be someone's best friend off the rip, right? But what I like is saying, instead of me going in thinking, okay, I'm going to try to like this person, I'm going to try to be a friend, why not go in saying, I'm just going to love?
That's the answer.
I'm going to love off the bat. And that doesn't mean like you love people that you don't spend a ton of time with, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you love people that you're like, dude, you're driving me up the wall, but like, I see you for who you are and I freaking love you, get out of my face. Right. But you can lead with love. And like me and you is a great example. It's like when we first met today, it was like instant love, right? Yeah. That doesn't mean like, okay, we're going to be like going on trips together tomorrow, but we didn't start suspicious of each other. We didn't start like, all right, let me see if this dude's cool. Yeah. Let me see if I can like him. It was just love.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that is a benchmark we can all reach.
Oh, I completely agree. And I think the thing that I love about love is that it wins. They always say that love wins, but what really does too is like being able to, like you said, just be able to give it to anywhere, any situation or thing. I get asked online all the time with, I don't have an insane public figure. I have a little bit of people who I care about that care about me. And I get asked a lot. I get a lot of messages. And it's probably because I don't talk about it, but I get a lot of questions on my political views,
Mm-hmm.
my religious views, gender equality, same sex attraction, whatever it might be,
Mm-hmm.
of a topic of this question or this and that. And what I'm always able to say is, I honestly, I don't ever look too deep into things, like, and it's always these questions of, what do you think of this person who's a part of this or this or that? And I
Mm-hmm.
just, every time that I face those, I just say, I love them. And then, if someone were to say, if someone had a problem, say with someone who was maybe LGBTQ, one of my best friends is gay, if they were to say, well, like, he's gay, do you love it? It would be like, yes, I love him. And they're like, so you love him because he's gay or something? I'll be like, no, I love him. Oh, okay. Well, do you love him because he does something differently than I do? And no, I love him. Or, if another person asks me, oh, this is your, do you like these political figures because of their politics? No, I love them. And I think that we need to always remember that, like, love is to the person
Mm-hmm.
and not, it's to the soul. It's to the,
Right. It's not what they're doing or what they've done.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's all internal. And when you start seeing that, it's easier, I think, to forgive people too, because all of a sudden you realize that, like, love really does just win so fast. I mean, it's unstoppable. It is literally, there's nothing that beats love.
Yeah.
It at all. And it hurts, it's painful, it can be sad, it can be filled with tears, but it always works out when you choose love.
Yeah.
And I mean, this brand, I mean, I lost one of my best friends to suicide, and I chose to take what at one point seemed like the most pain terrorizing everything inside of my head of what I thought the world was. I was able to take that, turn it into something, and share it with love. And because of that, I know other people have stayed here. I know that it's, bless them. There was a girl that messaged me, and I think still to this day, this is probably the sweetest thing I've ever heard. But she said, she's like, hey, I want to take a second to thank you. I got your T-shirt for my birthday, and I put it on. I was so excited. I put it on. I went downstairs, and I forgot something in my room before me and my friends left. As I run downstairs, I turn the corner. I pass my brother, and I go to my room. I grab my stuff that I need, and as I come back, my brother's just in tears. And she says her brother looks at her in the eyes and says, I was planning on killing myself tonight. I was planning on taking my life. And he said, that shirt, he said, your shirt. He said, that was my sign not to.
Mm.
I mean, I think about sometimes, the advice my sister gave me when she just said hello.
Yeah.
And you just think, like, I mean, to go from, to remember where I was in my 8th, 9th grade-ish time of my life, just ripping the grass out of the ground, staring at the stars, screaming at God, so upset at God, wondering who is God. And in my eyes right now, I can see young Jackson on his knees, just upset. I can still see the star constellation. That memory is so vivid. But to see that as the most beautiful thing of my life, it's hard for me to wonder why my cousin had to go out the way he did.
Mm-hmm.
But it's easy for me to love what legacy he was able to leave through through friends and family. And it I I just, it's bizarre to me sometimes that I lost him, but he saved countless others.
Right. Right.
And that's the one that's, yeah, it's I wonder sometimes, like, the hard things we go through, if someone who passes away can save someone who's living, think of what you can do if you already are.
Yeah. Wow. That's a good point. And going back to what we said earlier, maybe God's showing him right now how much light he's infusing in people, which is really cool. I wanted to share, dude, I want to share some lyrics with you of this song.
Yeah.
Made me think of.
When Tommy reached out to me to hop on the podcast, I said, I was like, Taylor Churches. And now he was like, yeah. And I was like, dude, I've always wanted to go camping with that dude. Of all things. I know, it sounds bizarre. Tommy's like, really? He's like, are you that outdoorsy? And I'm like, no, not really. He's just like, he's always got like those thoughts or like, yeah, and this is like a prime example, some song lyrics. I'm like, this is the kind of guy I want around the campfire.
Right.
But anyway, yeah.
You want to get in front of a fire with me.
Yeah. I feel like you got the thought, man.
That's so funny. It's funny because I'm not a big camper.
That's what he said. I was like, I don't believe it. But
I'll get in front of a fire. I don't care. Okay. Do you know Judah? Have you ever heard of Judah? So his main band is Judah and the Lion.
Oh, cool.
And then he has this sort of like a Christian solo project that he does, and he just calls it Judah. But he has this song, and I'll tell you what, dude, I used to just not be about Christian music, even though I'm deeply Christian. It just always felt kind of hokey or whatever to me, but I've really come to love it. But this song is called Just Because. And he says, he just loves me because he loves me because he loves me just because he does. And then at the very end, he says, he just loves you because he loves you because he loves you because he loves you. And to me, sometimes, I mean, maybe if you're Christian, this rings true for your relationship with God. But to me, it's also like, man, I want to love people just because. No other reason, right? I want to love you because I love you. Not because of what you can give me, not because I want to make you feel good. I want to love you just because you're here, because you're with me, because you're my dog, and I don't need any other reason. But it's better around a campfire.
Yeah, man, dude, that's perfect. I think that's if someone ever asks me, like how do you, it's just choose love, man.
Yeah.
It's like exactly what you just said. I had a friend tell me that when I first got home from that 2-year service of a mission, and he said, I never read the book, but he told me that he read a book, and he was like, you realize that love just always works? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, love does. I was like, whoa. And just like how you said that, I just felt like so much peace, because like it's almost like when you hear it 4 times in a row, you're almost like, you hear it the first time, it's like, I love you, and then you're like, the first thought is, no, he doesn't, because I know this about myself, and then the second one is, I love you, and it's like, well, you still don't know this one, I love you, and then you hear, and think about, I think that story in the Bible, and like Christ told Peter, he asked him 3 times, like, do you love me?
Yeah.
And like in turn, we sometimes have to question it too, like, and if I'm saying I love him, do I? And point being, when you have it repeated multiple times, you'll go from either why you do to like really why you do to like really why you do. And just that, when you were saying I love you, I took it as like, if I was listening to this song, I'm taking it to me, and I was like, oh, it's so cool. It's like, I love you. It's like, no matter what I say, you're gonna say I love you.
Right.
That's such a cool, like, if everyone understood that, if everyone just like, if every time we messed up, we had a bracelet that went, I love you, 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 and it didn't turn off until we forgave ourselves, dude, I think we'd all be a little more forgiving and say, that's true.
Have you ever seen Severance?
Oh, no.
Oh, well, we're not going to talk again until you've seen it. But there's this part in the show where it's kind of this dystopian show where these people are like stuck at work, and they get this brain chip that, so when they're at work, they have no memories of at home. And
Interesting.
when they leave work, they have no memories of work, right? And so it's kind of this weird premise, but these employees start to realize that they're kind of slaves and they don't really have a lot of
Mm.
control at work. And when they mess up, they have to go into this room and like read this big apology. And in one of the scenes, this person's reading it, and the guy goes, "You have to read it again. You didn't mean it." And they go again and again and again and again, and this person's like crying
Oh.
but it reminded me of like, yeah, dude, you'd have to if that was really the case, if you were wearing a bracelet that like you had to really believe it or it wouldn't turn off,
Yeah.
you'd act different.
Yeah,
You
100%.
know, if it wouldn't work until you actually meant it, so you couldn't be like, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you.
Yeah.
You know, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, like you'd have to literally choose and accept. I mean, that's always the hardest part is forgiving yourself.
Yeah.
They say that Christ's atonement's infinite, immediate, all this, but none of that is going to, be fulfilled until you also choose to forgive yourself. And, whether you're Christian or not, or whatever you belong to, if you learn to forgive yourself with true intent that, I can go to sleep tonight and tomorrow will be better. Your life will be happier. Like I say it always about the, sleep on it, go to bed on it. Cause I don't know why we were designed that way, but I love that we have to like rest. I love that we're not allowed to stay awake forever because it's kind of beautiful that like, no matter what it is, you're at least going to get some sort of reset, at least, even if you're, if you were, on spikes or whatever, any like crazy random terrain, you are going to have to rest. And it's a gift. And I know some people's circumstances aren't as nice as others to receive that rest, or, how much they're able to receive. But the ability that you can just, tomorrow's going to be better. I'm going to forgive myself and just go to bed with the heart going, yeah, I hope it happens. Like, dude, your life will be so much more at ease knowing that like tomorrow could be better.
Yeah.
Or maybe will be better. And then go to bed, wake up, find it. If you don't find it, do it again the next day. And if you wake up, you don't find it, do it again the next day. And then on day 4, fake a smile, try to put the juice in a little bit. And then all of a sudden, like, it starts working out.
Yeah.
And it's like, it takes a little bit of effort, but just everybody has such like a unique and cool superpower that they bring to this world. And it's a time to discover it. But it's like, I've never met someone who's not unique.
Right.
I think any single person in the world, if a documentary crew went and filmed their life, everyone would love it.
Yeah.
Or there would be a huge amount of people. And so I don't think there's anyone that could say like my life isn't worth what it, all these other people are this or that. Cause like, maybe they look at other people on the internet or like these highlight reels and stuff. And it's like, do you know how cool your life is though? Like the simplicity compared to someone else's complexity. Or their complexness. I don't know. Everyone's got a pretty freaking cool life. You just like, and I don't know, like maybe you don't know, but do exactly what Taylor Church said. Write them down and maybe start with the easy ones. And
right.
I like how you said the next day you go and highlight them. Because then it like also it's kind of accountable. It's like,
yeah. And sometimes I go back, like a journal and I'm flipping through and I'm like, oh yeah, dude, like I got nothing but good days.
Yeah.
I'm stacking good days like crazy. Like
a triple double on good days.
Yeah, dude, I'm freaking undefeated. But the thing is, I always say like, I'm all about being authentic and talking about your crap, but the negative is going to come into your life regardless. Like you're going to have moments of heartbreak. You're going to lose people. You're going to lose parts of yourself. But I want to focus on the positive. Like this, to me, I want the positive to be my narrative, right? The negative is it's going to snake its way through your positive. But it's cool because I go back and I'm like, all I see is good.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm like, I can be a Debbie Downer. I can be in the dumps, but I can go look at the data. It's like my life is endless good. you know? And what I try to do is be creative and not just write the same things every day, you
Mm-hmm.
know, because there are things that I enjoy every day. There are things I do for myself that I enjoy, but I don't just write the same things every day. I want to get deep into the nugget of it, you know.
Yeah.
I don't want to write just, oh, I went to the gym, that was great.
Yeah.
I want to be like, man, I really enjoyed getting off my freaking butt after a long day of work and getting my legs moving. Or
Mm.
I loved running into homeboy in the sauna. I
Yeah.
love, what I want to get really specific, because otherwise it just becomes rote and you're like, well, yeah, I go to the gym every day, but big deal. There's nothing special about that, you know?
I love the. I I would love to. It'd be cool. You need to on like your Instagram story. I wanted like you should share some of those
Some
because
of
I feel
those
like
good
I
days.
feel like
Yeah.
it's so cool how you see even deeper
Mm-hmm.
into it. Like that was cool just hearing the gym one. Like no, like I'm not happy I went to the gym. I'm happy I got up. I had to start that car. It was freezing. Like whatever it might be. Like I just feel like people hearing that would be like, oh, that's cool. Like
Yeah.
yeah, that is a good day. Hey, matter of fact, my pillow was cold too last night. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. That's cool. I love being able to see. I mean, is there outside of just writing them down? Do you feel like is there any other ways you try to remind yourself of those during the day when you maybe don't have the paper with
Yeah.
you?
I mean, I just have a note on my phone,
Oh yeah,
right?
right
So I
there.
have the thing I tell people what I really like to do. I have a notebook like this on my desk, just open at all
Mm.
times. I got my note on my phone. I try to write them down when they happen instead of just like doing it at the end of the day,
Mm.
right? Because then it's an immediate reminder that I'm in a good moment,
Oh
you know.
yeah.
Another thing I like to do when I'm with friends, when I'm with people, I like to articulate. I like to verbalize, hey, guys, how fun is this? Like, I like to like stop and pause and be like, guys, we're inside of a great moment.
Yeah.
Let's remember it. Let's feel it. You know, it doesn't need to be corny. Like, let's hold hands and chant.
Mhm.
We can if we need to, but like, let's just, man, this is so much fun. It's another reason why I love taking pictures and documenting moments. It's another reason I love social media,
Yeah.
right? It's because it kind of encapsulates a moment in time that you
Mhm.
can look back on forever and be like, dude, that was awesome.
Yeah, you can literally see it.
Yeah. Like, I mean, dude, you could move to Fiji tomorrow and I never see you again, but it's like we have this moment,
Yeah.
you know, we have this hour and a half where we're just here together, no other distractions. And it's like, that's great, man.
Well, yeah, and if I went to Fiji tomorrow and the plane crashed, I mean,
Mhm.
like, this is all you have left of us
Right,
is
right.
the moments, you know? And so
Yeah.
it's like, I know a lot of people will be like, yeah, live in the moment. But like, when someone passes away, when they're not living, the only way you can live in that moment sometimes is going back and seeing it. And so
Mhm.
I agree that I think, yeah, take pictures of the good going on, write it down, see it because, dude, you can relive it. You
Yeah.
can check it out. It doesn't mean you're gonna go put back on your high school jersey and you're
Sure.
reliving the glory
Yeah.
days. You're allowed to smile at
Mhm.
good memories. You're allowed to be happy that you have those. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. And another thing that I love so much about when you're in a romantic relationship, when you have someone you really care about, is you want to share everything with them.
Mm.
You know, you have a little good moment, you want to tell them about it, you know? And so to me, that's another great way to make sure your happiness kind of stays around a little bit longer is
Mm.
to share it and be like, yo, you won't believe what happened. Like, I saw the craziest. I
That's
saw a
so
double
real.
rainbow. It was maybe a triple. I'm losing my mind. You got to see this. I love you. Like,
Yeah.
I love stuff like that because sometimes you experience a moment and you're by yourself and it's great, but then it kind of dissipates pretty quickly. But when you share it, it just lasts longer,
That is so cool. That's
you know?
so true.
Yeah.
That's always the funnest. And I think on the receiver side, like, isn't that the best thing to hear from somebody? I mean, like, I love hearing about the big results and the big things that happen, but yeah,
Just the little wins.
yeah, they text you like,
Yeah.
dude, got an extra nugget today, and you're like,
Yeah.
holy crap, dude, that's sick, Yeah, so yeah,
Well, it's
so
great
true.
because when you receive that text, for whatever reason, this little good thing happened to my friend and they thought about me,
Oh yeah, that's
right?
cool.
They wanted to share it with me. And, maybe they send it to a group chat, maybe they send it to 20 people, but like I crossed their mind
Yeah.
when good happened in their life. And so,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah,
We say that again.
I crossed their mind when good happened in their life.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And so if you can be part of that and you can continue to spread it, why not,
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay, dude, couple more questions. What is something you think, like, if you ran into future you, if you ran into Jackson in 10 years, what advice do you think he would give you now?
I think he would tell me.
He'd be like, bro, you're in great shape.
Yeah.
He's like, you look good.
Yeah. Hey, bro, you kind of doing your thing. Yeah. Man, I think he'd probably give me a hug and say I'm doing enough. Sometimes it's hard for me to believe that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he'd start out by telling me I'm doing enough. I think he'd tell me that everything worked out the way I wanted it to.
So you can chill.
So I can chill a little bit. Yeah, you don't need to be so worried. He'll say that girl you're in love with. He'll like show me our kid. No, I'm just. I mean, that'd be dope. But no, I do think though that I think the first things he would say though are like, "I'm okay."
Mm-hmm.
And he'd probably like, my legs always bouncing. He'd probably stop me, and he really would just pause to be real. And then I think once I'd know that like I'm present with him, I think he'd tell me to spend more time with the people who help me feel good. Or earlier you used that word data points, and I've been thinking a lot about how I feel at the end of a night after hanging out with someone, at the end of a lunch, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's a data point.
Yeah.
It totally is. And I think sometimes I don't recognize those enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he would tell me just, be aware of how you feel after you spend time with someone.
Yeah, yeah.
And whoever brings that good feeling, spend more time with them. And I don't think it would be because it's a selfish reason. I think he'd say it because usually when there's a good feeling, it's reciprocated.
Mm-hmm.
It's felt both ways. And so I think he would tell me to, pay attention to how you feel. And he'd probably just tell me to live like you're not this old now, be like, this is all the things I accomplished in 10 years. You should double it.
Yeah.
I think he would want me to push myself. I think he'd want me to spend more time with my family, my parents, my loved ones, and take things serious, but not too serious, and just to live and really be completely present, but not have to worry about doing it for a necessarily reward of some sort. Just be you. And then he'd probably go to give me a dap me up or something, and then just he'd make some stupid dad joke. I know it'd come. I know it's something. I don't know what it'd be, but it'd be like, I don't know what it'd be, but he'd do something.
And you're like, that's not funny, bro. But then you're like, but dude, that came from my brain.
Yeah, he's gonna look at me and be like 6'7". I'm gonna be like, no, it's 10 years.
No,
It's been please. And no, but I do think he'd have my back, and he'd probably just really want me to know that it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And to chill the flip out.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be a soft, hey dude, take it. I think he'd really be like, dude, you gotta knock off this overthinking.
Right.
You just gotta let it go, man.
Yeah.
Look at me. You're 10 years from now, you're alive.
Right.
What that plugging that cord in is not gonna set the house on fire.
Right.
Drop the intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
You're into that girl, go ask her on a date. You wanna succeed, be different.
Yeah.
You've got nice curly hair, you wanna shave your head, do it. Why not?
Yeah.
He would tell me all the things that I'm afraid to do, but with a lot of love.
Yeah, I think the difference is it's interesting. You said a lot of stuff, which is cool because it's like this person is you, right? It's not some figment. It's you, and so you can just internalize these things right now.
Oh, I'm feeling it. That's cool. Yeah, this is weird,
You know?
but it's cool.
And so it's like, that's someone more than anyone you can trust.
Mm.
You know, he's not, it's not somebody that's just trying to hype you up or somebody that just wants you to feel better. It's you, you know? That's the real homie at the end of the day.
Ah, this feels good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always been you. You know what I mean? Like, I think sometimes, you know, a big reason, I talked about this in my last podcast, but a big reason why we ache so much when we're going through heartbreak is because we were with somebody that made us feel so good, right? And now that person's gone. But the reality is, we make ourselves feel that good. Nobody can make us feel anything, you know. They help facilitate it. They bring it about. They you know, elicit it out of us. But that love that we have for them was always there within ourselves. It was always there. And so that means it can come back. That means it can multiply. And so we don't ever, I know it's hard, it's nearly impossible, but we don't ever need to feel like whatever love we felt will never return. It's not duplicatable. Because we're the ones that invented it. We're the ones that brought it up in the first place.
Yeah.
And so we're the ones that can bring it back, you know?
That's cool.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. What percentage of yourself do you feel like you truly, honestly know? Because obviously we know ourselves better than anybody else, but how much of yourself do you think you truly have excavated and understood and really got to know and are willing to know?
I think there's still about, and it feels bold to say it, but there's still probably about 50% that I don't.
Yeah.
No, I'd say there's 50% I do. And sometimes I leave the 50% unknown at times. But I think it's sometimes out of fear. I think sometimes I leave the other one alone because it's a better version.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. You know, they're like, it's that old seemingly cliche quote where it's like our greatest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. And I think that the part of me that I don't know is actually not the better, but I think it's my potential energy. It's what I could be. And what's interesting is, as much as something I could be, just like you said, that's actually who you can be now. Because if it's possible, you know, if that 30-year-old me is talking to 20-year-old me, what does he hear? You know, it's present. It's right now. And so I think that I know about 50% of who I am. And I think the other 50% is the parts that I am still learning to accept or to become or to, you know, the discipline. It's a lot of the better aspects of me, I'd say. And I think that first 50 is filled with, sometimes it fills up with, you know, it's a good ratio of the things I'm good at, things I'm bad, but I wish it was filled with things I'm good at, and I can be aware that I'm not good at things, but I shouldn't keep so much tabs on what I'm bad at, you know?
Right.
I want, when I think of who I am, I want to be able to be like, I know 100% who I am, because I know 100%, I know 100% my potential. I know 100% who I currently am, and I disregard 100% of who I once was.
Yeah.
That's the dream of, like, I guess what I would want to live with that. But I think to answer the question, though, I'd say for the most part, it's probably, and like almost like a 50-50 that, you know, and it's not that I, you know, the other 50 that is unknown is, I don't know who I am. I don't know how to act. It's that truthfully,
it's yet to be discovered.
It's yet to be discovered.
Yeah. That's cool. I like that question because whatever our answer is, it's usually not 100%, right? And it reminds us that if we only know ourselves 50%, how much do we know the people around us?
Yeah.
You know? And so to me, that's a reminder that, man, I can always be getting to know people better. I can always try and get 3 or 4 more percent,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, that's
And,
cool.
and I think especially with a lot of couples, I think fall into this where they're like, yeah, we know everything about each other. And I'm like, dude, you don't even know everything about yourself.
Yeah.
You don't know anything about yourself. You know a decent amount. You know what you've been through, you know what you think, but there's a lot of things that you don't know about yourself. And so it's always an excuse to get to know your partner better and the people you love better and your friends better, and to not get stagnant and being like, yeah, dude, I know everything about them. You know?
Oh, that's cool. I want to take that into my closest friendships.
Yeah.
Even like my parents and my siblings, like so much I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's a thrilling thing to
Yeah. I've tried to, with my parents, especially like when I'm back home for Christmas or whatever, we're spending time together. I'm like digging around. I'm a freaking journalist. Like I'm asking them questions about when they were in their 20s or when I was a baby, things that I just don't know the details of. And I'm like, man, I want to know the depths of them, and I want to know way more than I know right now,
And I'm certain it's out of love. I feel like I would love to know your thought on like, or maybe what you would do, like how do you still love or accept, or just when you learn something about someone you've known and they maybe tell you something, and they tell you because they trust you, and maybe it's something from their past or something, but it maybe is like surface level, it's almost not a negative reaction, but it's something you weren't expecting to hear. How do you like disarm it and understand like you still choose to love them? Because it sounds like you love to learn from people, and it sounds really cool, like you're always able to earn the percentage because it's through love, or it's because you care. But how do you disarm the receiving of maybe something you weren't expecting to hear?
Yeah, I guess those things just don't matter to me. Like, unless it is harmful to me, I'm in no place to judge. I don't know what they've been through that has led them to that decision or to that moment. And, I've had really close friends of mine tell me insane things that, like, yeah, my gut reaction is, whoa, that's wild, right? But it has no bearing on how much I love them. The only thing it would change is if what they told me was like putting me in harm's way, or was affecting me personally. And I don't ever worry about like being associated with somebody that did this or this or this, because I'm like, what if that person was my brother? If my brother like was in jail for murder, obviously I don't condone murder, but he's still my brother.
Yeah.
I still love him. I don't love what he did. I don't respect what he did, but I still love him. So that's how all my friends are. Yeah. It's like you can't tell me something that's gonna make me not want to be friends with you. If it's so like heinous, like you like abused my sibling or something like that, then I'm gonna draw boundaries and be like, unfortunately, I can't have you in my life anymore. Yeah. But I still got love for you, and I'm gonna find a way to forgive you. Maybe not today, but yeah, to me, I don't think with my friends and people that I love in my life, my assumption is there's nothing they can say that will change that friendship, cool. Right? And that's what unconditional love is. It's not like almost unconditional. It means it's truly unconditional. You can do anything, and I still love you. But yeah, if it's crazy, I might not be able to like roll with you every day anymore. Our relationship might have to change, but if you did something wild and you want to share it with me, that doesn't change anything for me. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. If anything, it brings us closer, because I'm like, I'm like, you trust me and you know that I'm safe ground, like, and that gives me a little bit more, I know you 2% better now,
Yeah.
even if it's embarrassing or if it's something shameful. It's like, that's great, dude. I don't care.
That's
Let me
awesome.
let me at least be that one person that doesn't judge you,
Yeah.
And I don't care if people judge me for like being friends with somebody even though they did X, Y, and Z, like, go to town. I don't care.
Yeah. That's so
Cancel me
cool.
if you want, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
No, I love that. I love that so much. I do. That's like the like yeah, when I was living in New York, I had a friend that moved there about the same time as me.
Mhm.
And at first, when I would see his posts, I was a little nervous to like be liking and commenting
Yeah.
because I was like, oh no, like it's my buddy. His name's Nick Shirley. He's a, an amazing kid. And when I say amazing, I'm saying the kid I know, Nick, the loving, friendly, nice person who was helping me feel at home in a place that wasn't home. And, at first I remember being like scared and nervous because he's an independent journalist in the big city of New York and all these crazy things going on. And I remember being like, oh, can I like this? Like, is it going to be bad if it says Jackson or like this? And then I was like, what? Like, you, that's your friend.
Yeah.
You're saying you love him. He's your friend. When you comment "love you, Nick," you're not saying "love you, Nick" because you're doing this or
Love
this or
all
this
your
or that. It's like,
opinions.
yeah, like, dude, I freaking love you, Nick.
Yeah.
Like, you're my dog.
Yeah.
And so, I feel like, that principle sometimes is like hard to see it, because you're like, oh,
Yeah.
like, can I, like, is it gonna be bad? Like, I mean, me and Nick were gonna be roommates. I'm like,
Mhm.
why would I go from wanting to go live with this person in a big city who's my friend to being like, should I not, like, no, forget that. And like, I think like in my life, I love those moments. Yeah. When you just kind of are like, "Oh, forget that, dude. Like, you're my dog.
Yeah.
I'm here for you."
Yeah,
Like,
dude.
it was, the way you said that was so true. It's just like, cool, man. But you've been through some crazy stuff. Like, you want me to share any of mine? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, it's galvanizing. It's teamwork. Well, maybe teamwork kind of sounds a little crazy, but it's something about, it's whether it's boys or girls or whoever, just, it's together,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you have people in your life that if you tell them something wild, they're coming at you with judgment, you don't tell them stuff. So I want to be the guy that, yeah, you can tell me anything. My reaction is going to be kind of like, thanks for telling me. That's my gut reaction with anyone tells me anything wild is, wow, thanks for telling me. Like, I'm glad you wanted to talk to me about it. Out of 8 billion people, you chose me to talk to,
And they're probably wondering, like, is he gonna react? You're like, do you want me?
No, I give no reaction.
Yeah, you're just right there. I love that. I'd be so confused. I'd be like, wait, like, Taylor, are you not shocked? You'd be like, Like,
No, I mean,
do you want me to be?
yeah, I hear crazy stuff all day long. I don't care.
Love that, dude. That's awesome.
All right, dude. One last thing I love to ask people at the end is to kind of, and I know you've asked me some awesome questions, but to flip the mic around, if you were the podcast host, what would you ask me? If you have any other questions or inquiries?
Yeah. When that day comes, when you're like in your 90s, that they're laying your casket down into the grave, and your family, kids, your friends,
My robots.
your personal AI is taking notes.
Yeah.
When all of that's around you, what do you want to be known for?
Yeah, it's a lot of things and not in a morbid way, but I think about my death a lot, right? I think about it in terms of, yeah, what is my life going to mean? What is the reaction of people around me going to be? And I want it to be, on a really individual basis. I want it to be like, he was an amazing dad. He was an amazing brother. He was an amazing roommate. He was an amazing coach. Like, I just want to be that guy for everybody in whatever our relationship is, you know? And to a certain extent, yeah, I would love to have great influence on the world, but it's a little bit out of my control. What I really want is influence on the people that I've come in contact with, right? And some of those you spend so much time with, it's easy and you even take it for granted. But there's a lot of people in your life that won't be at your funeral, right? But you did have interactions with them. You did talk to them on the street for a second. You know, they helped you at the movie theater. They were your waiter. They, you know, I'm willing to guess not everyone that's been on my podcast will be at my funeral. You know what I mean? So there'll be some people that I've had really deep connections with, and I want those to be positive. And so my main thing is I want, you know, if we all die and go to the same place and we're in front of our maker and everyone was like, all right, what was your experience with Taylor? I want it all to be good. I want it all to be positive. And, you know, I actually had this thought a few months ago. You know, me and you are from the same cloth. You know, we believe similar, you know, we're the same religion. I think we both believe in sort of a never-ending story, right? We believe in eternity. Mm-hmm. We believe that we'll live forever after this life in heaven, whatever that looks like. And I was like, okay, if that's true, and I believe it is, but if that's really true, that means I have eternity to get on good terms, to be friends, to love every human that's ever existed.
Oh,
right? So if that's true, I don't want to get to heaven and have a bad connection to start off with.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm hopeful because I got eternity to deal with that, but I want to make sure I do everything in my power to start off on the right foot and to have, you know, I know it won't be the case. There's been people I've pissed off. There's been people that think I'm annoying. There will be some connections that are bad connections, and they're going to be kind of tough to deal with. But I want as many as possible to be positive and be like just a reunion. And maybe even like, oh, dude, you were my waiter once 80 years ago. Let's do this,
yeah.
You know? But those are the things I have control over, right? I don't have much. I have a little control over my general worldwide influence. But what I really have control over is how I influence the people in my tight circle and the people I interact with, the people I see, the people I love, you know?
I think you're a true influencer, Taylor. I mean,
I
mean that there's a lot of people online that'll, you know, someone on a job description or something could say like they're an influencer. But I think if I ever was hiring someone, I read that they were an influencer, I would be super confused. But when other people see it, you know, if like a real influencer is someone who's like an influence off the court, you know,
right.
Like it's not this social media term. It's a byproduct of who you are off of social media. And I think hearing that from you, like that's a beautiful way to go out. So
thanks, man.
More power to you, man.
Thanks, man. I probably need to do more get ready with me's to be a true influencer, you know?
Totally. And if you ever get cremated, I'll put you in a firework on the 4th of July show. I'll make sure I'm at the funeral.
That's going viral.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll make sure you go out the right way, man. We're going to go out the best way possible.
All right, bro. Appreciate you, man.
Of course, brother. This is a pleasure, man. Yeah. This was amazing.